So by now, you know that the Buffalo Bills got absolutely embarrassed by the Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football, losing by a final score of 24-14. But I'm not here to blame one specific side of the ball. I'm not here to blame one specific coach or player, because after a pathetic and pitiful game like that now has you sitting in second place, looking up at Drake May, Stephon Diggs, and the New England Patriots in the AFC East, every single person in that building needs to hold themselves accountable, from Brandon Beane to Sean McDermott to Joe Brady, Bobby Babich, Josh Allen, the offense, defense, special teams, everyone, because that is unacceptable. And I've had so many thoughts circulating throughout my mind over the last couple of days. And if you follow me on Twitter at Kevin_Syracuse, I'm sure you've seen some of my thoughts, but sometimes tweeting it doesn't do it justice. So that's why I'm here, because I'm hoping that as therapeutic as it is for me, it's therapeutic for you as well, because I'm trying to make this as clear and concise as possible that we can really just dumb down what is hampering this Bills team. The Buffalo Bills have a fundamental flaw from the top of the organization down to the fans like you and me in being over reliant on Josh Allen. And I feel like ever since that he has reached this superstar level, especially within the last couple of years when the Bills shifted to this everybody eats approach, and then Josh won the MVP last year after the Bills traded away Stephon Diggs, I feel like we've all fell victim to having the mentality of everything will be okay because we have 17. I mean, the GM was so confident in this mentality that he went on WGR to gaslight a large portion of this fan base into thinking that they were dumb for wanting more at the wide receiver position. And clearly, as you will see, it has not been enough. And then you look at the defense. So Brandon Beane heavily invested in this defense because he was so confident in Josh Allen, and rightfully so, because the defense needed a lot of work. But yet we are in year number 9 for Sean McDermott, and his defenses are still getting gashed both in the air and on the ground. That being said, their whole motto throughout his tenure has been bend but don't break. And basically what that means is go ahead and get your yards. Go ahead, Bijan Robinson. Go ahead, Derrick Henry. You can run. But then when it comes down to it, it's not going to be enough, because your quarterback has to outduel our quarterback, who can normally put up 30 points per game. So go ahead. You can pick up those chunks of yards if you want, because once you get down into the red zone, we're going to tighten up and we're not going to break. And then we're going to create those turnovers, again, being over reliant, because then you just have the human eraser if it doesn't go right. And Josh Allen can fix all these mistakes. And it is finally starting to catch up to this team. So I want to start by talking about the Bills wide receiver situation, because that is where most of my frustration lies right now within this team. Don't get me wrong, I'm still very frustrated with this defense. It was an abysmal first half, and really, they were Drake London's arm length away from being down 28-7. More on him in a few minutes. But I still want to give them the benefit of the doubt because of the injuries, and they did pull together in the second half, and they really gave the offense a chance. But when you have Josh Allen at quarterback, and you can only muster up 14 points, there is a larger issue here. So the main issue with this wide receiving core is that they lack the ability to win down the field and create that separation. And I talked about this last week after the Patriots loss, and I said that the Patriots showed how you can slow down this high-powered offense, because the Bills want to play this ground and pound style with James Cook, right? Everybody eats and it starts up front. But what the Patriots did was they said, all right, we're just going to eliminate the running game. We're going to stack the box, and we're going to defend the middle of the field, and we're going to force you guys to beat us on the boundary. Well, Atlanta took that a step further, as they blitzed more than any defense in the NFL. And they basically said, you know what? We're just going to pin our ears back and go, because we're going to get in Josh Allen's face, because we know that his receivers can't separate down the field, and we're going to rush his decisions and force him out of the pocket because the receivers aren't winning. We're going to blow up their offensive line, and there was no protection for Josh. Joe Brady took until, I think, about the third quarter until he finally shifted the protection. And maybe that's Josh Allen's fault, because, as I said before, this was not one of his better games by any means. But Atlanta said, we are going to get back to our bread and butter, and we are going to blitz the heck out of this team, because we're going to trust that when you have Keon Coleman going against A.J. Terrell's winning that every single time. And I have some data here that backs up those claims. So this shows how much separation the Bills receivers are actually getting here. And if you can see, the league average is 2.98 yards per route. Tyrell Shavers, who is a wide receiver 6 on this team, is averaging 2.95 yards of separation. Dawson Knox is second with 2.48, another guy who doesn't get as many snaps. And then you look, Khalil Shakir, really he hasn't been as impressive ever since inking that 4-year, $60 million contract extension. He's only averaging 2.21 yards of separation. Then you go across Keon Coleman, 2.09 yards, Josh Palmer, 1.43. So that being said, let's look at some of the box score stats now. So Keon Coleman, who was Buffalo's top overall draft pick in the 2024 draft, was targeted 6 times and only caught 3 passes for 11 yards. Josh Palmer, who is finally starting to come on, was injured by the hip drop tackle, and now Sean McDermott describes him as week to week. He finished a game with 2 catches for 60 yards. Curtis Samuel was hurt and inactive once again, and then Elijah Moore had 2 targets, 0 receptions, 0 yards, and a costly fumble on a 3rd and 1 end around on a stupid play call from Joe Brady that I will get to later on in this segment. So when Brandon Beane says, bitching about wide receiver is one of the dumbest arguments I've ever heard, well, you know what? Let's take a look at this. So as I said, Keon Coleman was the 33rd overall draft pick sandwiched in between the infamous Xavier Worthy and Ladd McConkey. Josh Palmer's contract is 3 years worth up to $36 million. Curtis Samuel, who can never get on the field, or at least stay on the field, his contract was 3 years worth up to $30 million. And Elijah Moore, 1 year, worth up to $5 million. So I think the real dumb thing here that we need to talk about is putting all of this capital into these average to below average wide receivers and then doubling down on that take and gaslighting the fans into thinking that they were dumb for wanting more. Because when you look at this, if those contracts are reached to their full potential, that is $71 million tied up to those 3 free agent acquisitions, plus the first pick of the 2nd round in Keon Coleman. So look, I really like Brandon Beane and all that he's done, but that was not one of his better moments, because that quote and that rant on WGR where he acted like he knew more than us when he had nothing to show for it, where the Bills have never even gotten to the Super Bowl yet, that quote is aging like milk. It's just so mind-boggling how this team has failed to surround their generational quarterback with the proper talent. And don't get me wrong, because I'm a fan of this everybody eats approach. I like what the Bills are doing. But to be so ignorant about it and be one-track minded and say, this is how we're doing it, and you're wrong if you don't agree with us and if you don't take our side, come on, man. All we're trying to say is, why not give Josh Allen as many resources as possible so that your football team can win as many different ways as possible? And I got to get back to the defense because I can't just let them off the hook so easily. But this defense is a mess. I talked about their run defense and the bend but don't break mentality, but their secondary is riddled with question marks right now. Taylor Rapp is regressing. Cole Bishop is not taking that next step that we need him to. Trey White is washed. Christian Benford, luckily his Achilles wasn't a tear and he was somehow able to get back out there. But he hasn't been the same dominant Christian Benford that led him to that big contract extension. Terrell Bernard has not been as good as he once was after signing that contract extension. Greg Rousseau has not been taking that next step that we needed to see after giving him $20 million. So I don't think that we should just expect Maxwell Hairston, Michael Hoyt, and Larry Ogunjobi to walk in and be the saviors. I think they're going to help. There'll be some nice reinforcements, but again, there are some fundamental issues with this team that resurface year after year. When you're talking about bad angles and missed tackles, I mean, this is coming from a coach that stresses the details and the fundamentals and the preparation, but yet somehow every single week they look like they're unprepared. They have no attention to details. They're lining up offsides. Greg Rousseau's penalty negated that turnover, led to Bijan Robinson's first touchdown. I mean, what are we doing here? And then a couple more mind-boggling stats that I will leave you with is that Drake London was the only Falcons wide receiver to catch a pass on Monday night. He had 10 receptions for 158 yards and a touchdown. How the Bills did not make the proper adjustments and say, hey, They are only going to this guy. So we need to double team him. We need to bracket him. We need to do something to make someone else beat us because we know damn well that ball is going to Drake London and Bijan Robinson. And they sat back on their heels and they watched the whole thing. And then you flip back to the offense. James Cook last touched the ball with 11 minutes and 45 seconds left in the game. 11 minutes and 45 seconds. He was averaging over 5 yards a carry as he had 17 carries for 87 yards. And the Bills' offense was finally starting to get something going there in the second half. And then they just stopped going to him. And they put out Ty Johnson and Ray Davis. And I've been wanting to see more of Ty Johnson, but not at the expense of James Cook. He is your best player. He is a weapon, and you did not use him. And he only had one target in the passing game. That is just completely ridiculous. And then while Cook is on the bench, you have a pivotal 3rd and 1, and you have Joe Brady calling another stupid trick play to Elijah Moore. Did he not learn anything last week? Last week it was Dawson Knox, now it's Elijah Moore. It doesn't work. Stop being cute. What happened to the tush push? That was your best play last year, and really, the QB sneak has been their best play. Is it because that Sean McDermott was so adamant at the NFL owners meetings that they had to get this play banned, that he doesn't want to look like a hypocrite now, so now he can't use it in a pivotal moment of the game? I mean, come on, man. What are we doing? And then you have McDermott deciding to punt on that 4th and 3 when they're down by 14 points. Just so many questions here, so many coaching decisions. Coaching malpractice is the best way to put it. And as the Bills go into the bye week here, I mean, it couldn't have come at a better time because this team is starting to look broken. I mean, the sky isn't falling, but at the same time, when you have these fundamental flaws that resurface game after game, year after year, I mean, what is the answer? I know people are talking about firing Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, and that's not happening. When you have Terry Pegula giving Kevin Adams infinite job security. He is in year 6 of running that franchise into the ground. He is wrong more often than meteorologists, and he is still in charge of that team. Beane and McDermott aren't going anywhere. So we just have to hope that Brandon Beane is active and aggressive over these next few weeks, and he is making phone calls to try to improve this team. The Bills don't have much salary cap to work with, but he's going to have to do something, and Sean McDermott is going to have to make some major tweaks, whether it's to his game plan, to his coaching staff. Do you fire Bobby Babich? I don't think so. He said today, or he said Tuesday, I should say, that he hasn't even thought about taking over the play calling duties. So I don't know what the answer is, but the Bills need to do some serious self-correcting here over these next couple of weeks. Please let me know what you just thought of all that. Let me know your reactions. Let me know your takes and your analysis. And make sure you subscribe to my channel and smash that like button and drop a comment to let me know your thoughts, because I'm sure that you have plenty of thoughts as well. I want to hear from you, because next week I'm going to come back and talk about some trade targets. So whether you want to talk about these problems that are hampering the Bills or some trade targets that you have, I'm here for it. So let me know, and go Bills.